people say that opening is done when we castle the king. Some people say that opening is done when two rooks are connected to each other. Okay. So again, we have different answers for that. We cannot say that we don't have a clear answer for this. So regarding pawn break, we do a pawn break once the opening is completed. So the opening is done and the middle game is about to start. Within these two parts, there is a small position. Okay. There is a small window. In that window, we make a pawn break. So as soon as we make a pawn break, we say that middle game starts from that very position. Once you make a pawn break. So we can say that pawn break embarks the onset of the middle game. Okay. Next question. Why? Chess has lots of whys in it. Why to do a pawn break? Can anyone answer it?
Yeah, this is required to move forward. Otherwise, you'll be stuck.
Okay. Any more answers, anyone? Take a minute and think that why should we do a pawn break?
It's after all development.
But development, aren't we doing it in the opening? Pieces are coming to the middle. So
sometimes to get hold of the center squares. To get hold of the
that
center
I
square
can,
also.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So that
To take the
we
hold
can
of the
do with
center.
okay. So I'll make some moves. I'm taking the hold of the center, but I'll not make any pawn break. So it is possible to control the center without making a pawn break. Again, we are back to the same question, why to do a pawn break? So right now there is no pawn break happening, but all the pieces are developed to the middle of the board, all of them. So what extra does a pawn break add in a position?
It gives a way for to our major pieces to move.
Yes, that's a precise answer. See, imagine pawn as this thing. Pawn are protectors. That's what we learned in opening fundamentals. Don't push too many pawns or else other pieces might get attacked, right? So pawns are protectors for us, but also they are the hurdles for us. All the white pawns are like the hurdle for all the white pieces. Similarly, all the black pawns are the hurdle for all the black pieces. Okay, why do we say this? See, a very simple logic, we want to win the game. To win the game, we need our pieces from our side to go to the black side. And similarly, black pieces wants to come to the white side. But right now, the pieces cannot move. Everything is blocked. Even in some cases, the diagonals are blocked, right? The pieces can not move. Okay. So we do a pawn break so that pawns can get off the board and we can have some open lines. Okay. So in one sentence, we can say why to do a pawn break? To get open lines. Now, when we use this word lines, we are referring to file. That line could be a file. That line could be a rank, or that line could be a diagonal. Okay. Usually it is all about files, but sometimes it's about diagonal also, and at the end ranks. But mostly it's all about files. Okay. So we do a pawn break to get open lines so that our pieces from our side can move to the opponent's side. Okay. Any questions, anyone with pawn break? Okay, fine. So that was all about the pawn break. Now let's move to the second topic of forcing moves. And after that, we will look at some practical implementation of these two topics. Okay, forcing moves. So anyone wants to try what a forcing move? Whatever you can understand from the word.
Like you force the opponent to move their pieces.
Exactly. So like the word is suggesting, forcing moves means that we are forcing someone to do something. Now in chess, we have four types of forcing moves. Okay. We say it as C, C, T, P. Okay. Now what is this CCTP? First C stands for check. Second C stands for capture. T is for threat. And P is for pawn break, which we just now learned. Okay. Now one very important thing. we need to learn this forcing move in the order itself. We cannot jumble up. We cannot say capture, check, threat, pawn break, or threat, check, capture, pawn break, or pawn break first, check at the end. It has to be check, capture, threat, pawn break. Reason being because it is listed as per the intensity of the forcing move. What does that mean? Let's take an example, starting with check. What is the check? Come on, a very
King.
simple thing.
King.
Yeah.
Attacking a king.
Attacking the
Opponent's
king. When the king is, yes, when the king is under attack, but it has an option to move, that's a check. So when we give a check, we force our opponent and we are saying to our opponent that you have to protect the king. You cannot do anything else. So we are only giving one choice to our opponent, that you have to protect the king. You cannot do anything else. Only one choice. Okay. Now capture. Suppose we capture a piece. Suppose in this case, white is capturing the black bishop. Now in this case, black is having two options. Number one, either they will capture back. Number two, they may not and they will play something else. Right? So in the case of check, we were giving one option. In the case of capture, we're giving two options. Either you take me back or you don't. Okay. Now moving on to threat. What is the meaning of the word threat?
When there is a danger to our
There's a
pieces.
danger. Yes. Okay. So threat in simple terms, we can say is a future attack. Okay. Or we can say threat is all about going to do. I didn't do it yet, but I am going to do this thing. Okay. Or we can say future attack. For example, suppose it was black to play and black plays the move pawn to g5. Now this is a threat. Black is saying to white, I didn't capture your bishop yet, but I'm going to capture your bishop. Okay, this is a threat. I didn't do it yet, but I'm going to do this thing. Okay, that's a threat. Now threat is not always about attacking. Okay, threat could be anything. For example, the pawn is on, suppose, let's say, pawn is over here. Okay, just a raw example. White is pushing the pawn to g7. Now white is saying to black, I didn't promote my pawn yet, but I'm going to promote my pawn. Okay. Or for example, let's take a different position. It's not always about attacking. That's the main point. Okay. Let's say we'll take a bishop and a queen. And over here, white is playing the move queen to f6. Okay. Now white is saying to black, I didn't do a checkmate yet, but I'm going to do this thing. Okay. So threat is all about going to do. Last session, we learned about different tactics, in which one of them was double attack. So while learning that tactic, we said that double attack is attacking two or more than two pieces at the same time. That was a kind of incomplete definition. Okay, but that's what we teach initially so that players don't get confused. The actual definition of double attack is giving two or more threats at the same time. Okay. For example, I'm not attacking any piece. I'm about to do a checkmate, or I'm about to promote the pawn at the same time. Now both the things are going to be bad for my opponent. If I do a checkmate, he will lose. If I promote my pawn to a queen, in that case, again, he has a bad position and I'm winning. Okay. So double attack is giving two threats at the same time. And what is threat? Threat is a future attack, or we can say it's all about going to do. I didn't do it yet, but I'm going to do it. Okay. That's a threat. Now, see, usually good threats are if you can do it immediately. Like right now, white is playing this move, queen to f6. In the very next move, white can do a checkmate. Okay. So sometimes we make threats saying that I'm doing this because after 5 moves, I can do something. In that case, those are not good threats. Good threats only are if you can do something immediately in the very next move. Okay. Now the last one, pawn break, which we have already covered on the top. Any questions, anyone with forcing move? Okay. Now, why did we learn about forcing moves? Because this is an observation. Pick up any game and you would see any good game of chess. 90% of the moves are forcing moves. It could be a check, it could be a capture or a threat or a pawn break. 90% moves in a good game are mostly forcing moves only. And usually in a practical game, threats are used more often than checks or captures. Okay. So that's why we learned about forcing moves. We can say that if you want to find a good move in chess, suppose in the middle game, we usually don't know what to do. In the opening, we have learned that we need to get the pieces out, move them to the center, and all of those things. But regarding the middle game, we cannot say any such point. So in that case, how do we know what to play? So for that, look for forcing move. Start with a pawn break, and once that is done, in that case, after that, look for forcing moves all the time. That's like a compass which can show us the right direction. Okay, in proceeding the game. Now what we will do is we will look at 3 games, starting with the first one. In the first game, what we will see is that when we are doing a pawn break at the right time, like we just now discussed, pawn break can be done early also, or it can be done at the right moment. Okay, so the first game we will see what if we do a pawn break at the right time. So in this game, I have certain questions in the middle. So please be active and everyone can put their answers on chat. Let's start with the game. The game started with the move pawn e4. Black plays pawn e5. We will skip the opening part. Both the sides develop their pieces like they do. Knight f3, knight c6, getting the pieces out. Bishop c4, pawn h6. So pawn h6 here is not too good. Usually pawn h6 is played so that it goes like this, somewhat like this. That suppose white over here plays, wait, white plays the move pawn d3. Now if black plays the move knight f6, then bishop g5 comes up. Okay, so that would be a pin on the knight. To avoid this pin, we play h6. So that's the idea, but over here h6 was not needed because knight is not coming to f6 and even the bishop cannot come to g5. Okay, so pawn h6 is just an okay move. White continues with development, pawn d3, making the space for the bishop to move. Black plays knight f6, development of pieces. White kept on developing, knight c3. Over here, black played the move, bishop to b4. First question, white to play, what would you play as white? So you can play anything, whatever you want to. Please type your answers in chat. As a hint, I would say continue with the development. Right now, the development is not yet finished. So what should we play as white? Yes, sir, we can do that move. Okay. Feel free to play whatever you want to. Even if it is wrong, that's completely fine. So the more answers we'll get, we can then discuss more on different moves. Okay, one move is very common. Fine. Okay, yes. Okay, so I got 3 different moves. One is pawn a3, castle, and bishop d2. All of these 3 moves are okay moves. We can play any one of them. Okay. Castling is a developing move. With pawn a3, we are attacking the bishop. Can be done. With bishop d2, we are developing the bishop and we are moving out of pin. So all these 3 moves are okay moves. In this game, I played the move bishop d2. So this is one of my game. So that was my personal choice. I just didn't want it to castle because if we castle, bishop might take the knight and then pawn has to take it. Now this is called as double pawns, having the 2 pawns in the same line. And usually we should not have it. Double pawns are considered to be bad. Okay. It's okay right now. Nothing wrong with this position for white side. Can be played like this. But it was just my personal choice that I didn't want it to have double pawns. So I went with bishop to d2. Development of piece and removing the pin from the board. Black continued with development, castle. Now pawn a3, attacking the bishop. Bishop goes to a5. White castles and black plays the move, bishop b6. Question number 2. White to play, what would you play as white? So imagine it this way that everyone is playing from white side. Feel free to play whatever you want to. Okay, Mahesh sir, I got your move. Can be done, nothing wrong with that move. So I only got one answer, waiting for a few more at least. So let's have a small hint. The opening is done now. Okay, yes, we can do it. Okay, I got two answers now. Okay, fine. One answer is very interesting. I want to touch upon that. Let's go in an order. Okay, so the most common answer I'm getting is knight to d5. Yes, that can be played. Nothing wrong with the move. Knight to d5 can be done. So usually the idea of knight d5 is to trade a minor piece, and that's how we can proceed then. So usually we say that the minor piece around the castle king is the main defender. So with knight d5, we can say our idea is that we want to remove this defender, the main defender of the castle king. And we also say that bishops are slightly better than knight. So one idea could be that I want to capture the bishop. Can be done. Nothing wrong with that. Same goes with knight a4. I got one of those answers. Can be done with knight a4. I want to trade my knight for the bishop. Nothing wrong with it. Also, we can then make up an idea that let's say knight a4. The idea is that I'm clearing up this c3 square for the bishop to move, which will then help me to attack the e5 pawn with two pieces. Can be done. Okay. Pawn h3 was one of the moves. Yes, this can also be played. So right now we can give a reason that we want to open up the last rank. So this is like a precautionary move. Usually checkmates happen on the last rank at the end of the game. Okay. So we are just making an escape square for the king. If anything happens, the king can escape. Okay. Queen e2, one move I got. This can also be played. So the reason we can give for queen e2 is that we want to just a minute. Yeah, we want to open up the a1 rook. This rook is trapped. We want to bring it to the middle. That's why we are playing the move queen e2. Now, one very interesting move, bishop takes on h6 over here, sacrifice, with a very nice idea that I want to expose the king. Yes, now the black king is weak. But over here, this is one of the ideas we do this, but it's quite early right now. What do I mean is, we usually sacrifice our pieces so that we can continue with the attack immediately. Right now, the problem is white cannot continue with the attack immediately. For example, over here, if black plays something like, let's say, queen to d2, wants to capture the pawn, I can easily protect the pawn right away. Okay, so sacrifices are done. It's a completely different topic. We'll not touch upon it right now. But this is one good idea. Usually we do it once this knight is gone, and we have the bishop on e3 and the queen on d2. So basically, the queen on this diagonal, and then the knight is gone. Then we usually go for that sacrifice. Okay. Other moves are okay also. Knight a4, knight d5, queen e2, pawn h3. All of these moves can be played over here. Now, just now we discussed that after the opening is done, we need to make a pawn break. Why do we need to do a pawn break? So that we can open up lines, right? So our main objective is we need to open up lines. Okay. And how are we achieving it? Using a pawn break. Now there is a different way, an uncommon way to open up lines. Okay. By having double pawns. The move played here was bishop to e3. Why bishop e3? So first of all, now there is no bishop, so the threat of capturing the knight is gone. We will no longer have double pawns. And now we are offering black a trade. You take my bishop, I'll take yours. And now see, the pawn break is not done, but we have an open line on the board. Okay, so how do we define what is an open line or what is an open file? So for that, a simple definition is when we don't have any of our own pawn. Okay, we are talking about our own pawn. We are not talking about opponent's pawn. When we don't have any of our own pawn on a particular line, then we can say it's an open file for us. Like right now there is a knight, but that doesn't matter. We can easily remove our pieces. Moving a piece away from a line is very easy when compared to a pawn. It's very difficult to move our own pawns from a line. Okay, so we can say open files are when we don't have any of our own pawn on a particular file. That's the definition of open line. So that was the idea of bishop to e3, that we are offering black a trade. If you take it, then I can capture back and I would have an open line. But see, in chess, good plans are those plans in which no matter what the opponent does, we can still have a good improvement or a good position. Okay. I mentioned about one option that if he captures, then we will have a slight of improvement with having the open file. But what if he doesn't capture? In that case, what are we getting? So for that, I won't answer, but something is happening over here. Please try to figure it out and we will see it in a minute. Black plays the move pawn d6, making way for the c8 bishop to move. White plays pawn h3, avoiding the pin. So these pins are quite bad. So usually it's better that if we avoid it. Okay. Over here, black plays the move bishop a5. Okay. One more question. This move bishop a5, is it a good move? Is it an okay move or is it a bad move? You can just mention good, okay or bad in chat. Black just played the move bishop a5. Is it a good move, a bad move or an okay move? Fine, I got one answer. And also please have reasons for the move, that if you're saying good, then why is it good? If you're saying okay, why is it okay? If bad, then why bad? We'll discuss. Yes, Kuldeep, so that's the exact point. You got it. Okay, fine. So let's discuss. Anyone who thinks this is a good move, please give a reason why is it a good move. Sorry. Anyone? Okay, let me then pick someone. Aruna ma'am, you said good move. Can you please give a reason why good move? Maybe she got disconnected. Anyone else who thinks this is a good move? Fine. So we'll skip the good part. Uh, uh, Let me pick someone else. Someone who thinks it's an okay move. Why is it an okay move? Okay. Fine. So the most common answer I'm getting is bad move. Can anyone tell me why is it a bad move? Anyone can say it. We will discuss. Let's make it interactive.
I think if we
It
go
will
with
be
the
threatened by just b4.
Okay, fine. Any other reason, anyone? Why is it bad?
if we go with the basic rules, it's like a moving away from center.
Okay, yeah, that's
and,
one reason.
yeah, and also like because there is no benefit. Like even they'll try to take like knight, it would be captured by a pawn. So net there isn't any benefit over here.
So over here, we can say this is not a good move. Reason being, look at the movement of bishop. Bishop started from f8, it moved to g4, that was its first move. Then the bishop is going to a5, then the bishop is going to b6, and now the bishop is coming back to a4, a5. So bishop is moving for 4 times. We are investing 4 moves in one piece. What are we getting in return? So over here, black is not getting anything special. So we can say black is just wasting move, not a good move. One idea we can say that they want to capture the knight, but that's not worthwhile investing 4 moves in one piece. And also we have different ideas, like we can play pawn b4, forcing the bishop again to move. And in case even if we allow them to take, we can just take back with the pawn, and that's still okay for us. It's not worth investing 4 moves just for one knight in this case. So bishop a5 was not a good move. In the game, white played the move knight d5. So again, I didn't want it to have double pawns. To avoid this thing, knight d5 was played. And black over here played the move knight h7. So clearly we can see that black is moving all its pieces away. Black doesn't want to trade any of the pieces. Fine. How should we continue as white? White to play. So all our pieces are developed, but they're not doing anything. How can we improve the position further? Even the rooks and the queens are not doing anything. How to improve the pieces? How to give them more space? Yeah, that's one way. I got one answer. Okay. Yes, that's one way. Okay. I got two answers. Okay, I'll make it very simple. Look for a pawn break right away. An immediate pawn break. Yes. Okay. So now I'm guessing most of you would get it. So immediate pawn break here is pawn d4. Like we discussed, pawn break is when two pawns are attacking each other. So immediate pawn break would be d4. But okay, one move I got is pawn b4. This also can be played. So with pawn b4, the idea should be that I'm expanding on the queen side. So later maybe bishop a2, pawn c4, and white's idea would be that I want to expand on the queen side. So yes, this can also be done. But usually it's better that if we play at the center of the board. Okay. Now one answer was c3, d4. This also can be done. But usually we say that, sorry, if we can do a pawn break immediately, go for it. That's way better. Okay. Now see what's happening after the pawn break. Look at the magic. Suddenly the entire position will change and our perspective of looking at the position will change. Pawn d4 was played in the game. Pawn takes pawn. Okay, before we get to that one question, should we take back with the bishop, with the knight, or with the queen? Just type the name of the piece and that would be enough. Bishop, knight, or queen. Okay. Yeah, fine. So we are obviously capturing with the queen is very bad. We only have option between the bishop and knight. And usually we say that bishops are slightly superior to knight. Okay, both are having 3 points, but bishops are considered to be slightly superior to knight because they are long range pieces. Okay, so it's better not to trade a bishop against a knight. If we capture the pawn with the bishop, they can take our bishop and then we will take their knight. In that case, they would have 2 bishops and we will only have 1 bishop on the board. Okay, so for this reason, it's better over here to capture with the knight. Now see, with this move pawn d4, the middle game started. Okay, pawn takes pawn, knight takes on d4, and now you would notice that every single move is coming as a forcing move, maybe a check, maybe a capture, a threat, or a pawn break. Knight takes on d4 was played, black captured the knight and white captured the knight. Look at the position now. So look at first of all this position. No, let's go a move back. Look at this position and now let's get back to this position. See, the pawn is gone from the middle and the 2 knights are gone. And what did white achieve with it? Look at the 2 powerful bishops aiming towards the king side. Look at the white knight sitting on the central square. White is the one having the pawn on the central square. Black is not having any pawn on the central square. Along with this, white queen is now active to move to the king side. You see, just because of one small break, small pawn break, so many pieces got activated. That's the magic of a pawn break. If we make a pawn break, we can activate our pieces very quickly. Okay, let's continue with the game. Black played the move bishop b6. White captured this bishop using the knight, not with the bishop, because we know that bishops are slightly better than knights. So we are giving up the knight for the bishop. And now we have these 2 powerful bishops dominating the center of the board and I'm towards the king side. Okay, next question. So we can say that we have a slightly better position, but we did not win yet. Let's keep on improving. White to play. What would you play as white? How to improve the position? Yes, that's one move we can play. Okay. Fine, I got one more answer. Okay, I got one more answer. So Kuldeep sir is somehow getting all the moves which was played in the game. Interesting. Okay. Okay, let us understand what does it means to improve the position. Let's take an example first to understand this thing. Has anyone seen that game where we build a big tower? There's a tower which we build, and then we need to remove those small blocks. And suppose if it is my turn, I remove a block and the tower falls. In that case, I lose. I don't know the name of that game, but has anyone seen it? You might have
Jenga.
seen the Jenga. Yeah, Jenga.
Yeah, Jenga.
Exactly. Okay. So in that game, we build a building and we remove small blocks. And if suppose I remove a block and the tower falls, in that case, I lose that game, right? So what is that building made up of? What is that building made up of? In that game, not in chess. Small blocks. Okay, fine. In this game of chess, we have a position. What is this position made up of? We have lots of pieces and this is the position. Yeah, the position is made up of pieces. I got that answer in chat. The position is made up of pieces and we are saying we want to improve the position. So if we think in micro terms, we can say that we can improve the position if we improve our pieces, right? Suppose all our pieces are very good, we can say that our position is very good, right? Simple answer. Okay, now how to improve the pieces? Which piece is not doing anything? How can we get that piece into the game? Think about it. And put the move in chat. We'll take a pause for a minute and then we'll discuss all the answers. So someone might feel that bishops can be improved. Okay, then how would you improve the bishop? Someone might feel that queen needs improvement. So where to put it? Someone might feel that queen and rook both needs improvement. In that case, the question is which piece to improve first and how. So think about a piece not doing anything and how to improve it further. Okay, fine. Let's talk of the moves. So yes, in this case, bishops are very good right now. It's the major pieces, the queens and the rook, not doing anything in the game. Okay, we need to improve these pieces. We can have multiple moves. For example, we can play queen d3 or queen d2, queen e2 with a very simple idea that I want to get the a1 rook out. Or we can take a bit of aggressive approach, playing the move queen f3. And the idea again is I want to get this rook out. Plus, I'm using my queen for some sort of future attack. Can be tried. Okay. Or there could be a different approach. And this is what happened in the game. White plays the move pawn f4. Now, why pawn f4? This is slightly advanced concept. This is called as a rook lift. So white is preparing a rook lift. Rook lift basically means bringing the rook into the attack from the third rank. Okay, and for black, it would be the sixth rank. That's a simple definition, but not needed for today's session. So pawn f4 was played with that idea. And one more idea here is f5, f6. So that's white's plan. Okay, white is threatening to play. See, we're using the word threat, which means a type of a forcing move. White is threatening to play f5, f6. How would that help? Let's make the moves first. Suppose it was white to play, white plays f5, and then white achieves to play f6. So over here, white is losing a pawn. They will take our pawn. We can take their knight, and they can take the bishop back. They cannot capture with the queen, or else they'll be losing the queen. So over here, white did lose the pawn, but look at the black king. Black king is unsafe. So we can say that white is sacrificing a pawn to initiate an attack towards the black king. So maybe something like queen h5 would come up, followed by rook f2 and rook f1. All the pieces would attack to the king from every direction. That could be a plan. It's very important, whichever move we make, we should have a long-term plan behind them. Okay. So in the game, f4 was played. Over here, black plays the move pawn to c5 and white plays bishop to c3. So not moving the bishop in this diagonal, because if we put the bishop anywhere on e3 or f2, in that case, bishop might not be that helpful. But if we put the bishop on c3, the bishop still has this open way and enjoys the opportunity to attack. Okay, so bishop c3 was played. Black over here plays the move bishop to e6. White to play. So we can see that the bishop is under attack. We have to protect the piece and also improve at the same time. What should we play as white? So in chess, we can say improvement is the only constant. We need to keep on improving all the time. So we have to protect, but also improve. What should we play as white? Yes, Kuldeep. So that move was not played in the game, but that was like the best move. Okay,
Bishop
waiting for more answers.
d5.
Sorry, sir.
Bishop to d5.
Bishop d5. Okay, fine. Any other moves, anyone? Okay, I got something in chat. Just a minute. Okay. Bishop d5, bishop b5, any other move? Okay, I guess pawn b3 is fun. Pawn b4 will not help, or else we'll still lose the bishop, right? So pawn b3 can be considered. Okay, fine. Let's talk about the move. Bishop d5 is definitely a very good move over here to play. So why bishop d5? So in chess, we have something called as a backward pawn. Okay, we'll not get into it, but backward pawn basically is a pawn which cannot be pushed forward. Okay, right now this d6 pawn is a backward pawn, and backward pawns are a target of attack. Okay, so over here, until now, black did not had any weakness on the board. Black's position was not good because pieces were not doing anything, but there was no such weakness which we can target. We cannot pinpoint one specific area into black's territory which we can attack. There is no such area. But as soon as black plays this move pawn c5, there is one weakness on the d6 pawn which can be a target of attack. Now, how to attack it? This would be a rough plan. What we'll do is we will just double all the pieces, the queen, rook, and the bishop and everything on this d file, and then we can target this d6 pawn. Okay, that's a rough plan and a long-term plan to attack this pawn. Bishop goes to c3, bishop e6 was played. Now let's talk about the move. The other options first. Something like pawn b3, yes, this can be played, but think in terms of improvement. If we play pawn b3, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, are we improving the position? Is our pieces improving, or is our pawn structure improving? So right now we don't have any such improvement in the position. For this reason, pawn b3 only helps us to protect the bishop. Okay. Bishop d5, yes, we can play. We are removing the bishop from the line of attack, but again, we are not improving the position. Okay, so we need to find a move which is combining the protection of bishop and improvement at the same time. With every move, we should keep on improving. Now, few improvement moves could be something like queen e2 or queen d3. Why these moves? Suppose queen e2 is played over here, and this was played in the game. If bishop takes bishop, queen can take back, and now see the queen is sitting on a good square. Compare the white queen to the black queen. White queen is to the middle, black queen is not. White rook has the space to move to the middle, black rook is not having that space to move to the middle. Okay, so we're improving our pieces. The position is made up of pieces. If we can improve the pieces one at a time, we will eventually improve the overall position. Same with queen d3, same idea. With queen d3, if they capture, we can capture back. In case if they don't capture, then we can play the move rook to d1. Again, helping us to improve. Capturing the bishop may not be too good over here. Reason being, because if we capture, no, we allow black to improve. Now black is having the open line. In fact, black's d6 pawn now may not be weak because black can push this pawn now. Okay, so even if it is an equal trade, we are trading a bishop for a bishop, but that's not a good one because we are not improving. So with every move, whenever we think of a move and we need to decide whether it's right or not, just ask a simple question: is it helping me to improve or not? Bishop d5, we can say like the best over here. Reason being, first of all, we are attacking the pawn. Okay, In case if they capture, we can capture back with the queen, and now this pawn can never move forward. Okay, and again we will just put all the pieces on the d file to threaten the d6 pawn. But in the game, queen e2 was played. Let's continue. Bishop takes on c4, queen takes on c4. So now slowly, white is improving the position. Improvement is a very slow process. So usually kids of small age, they are very impatient. They want to win the game right away. So this is how we say it, that it's not possible. It's a very slow process. So we all have heard that story of the rabbit and the turtle. Same in chess, we need a slow and steady wins the race. Go slow and be patient. Slowly improve the position. Okay, let's continue. Black plays the move queen to e7. White plays the move pawn f5, continuing with the same idea of f6. By the way, other moves, something like rook a d1, rook fe1 can also be played. Nothing wrong with these moves. But in the game, pawn f5 was played. To stop this threat, black plays the move knight f6, also bringing the piece to the middle to attack the pawn. White captured the knight. Now see, just now I mentioned that bishop was slightly better than knight, but over here we are giving up the bishop against a knight. Why so? So see, in chess, we can say nothing is a rule. Everything depends upon the situation. Right now, the reason why we are giving up this bishop for the knight is because this knight is quite a good piece, which can attack at the middle. As we play this move pawn f5, even we are creating a weakness on the e4 pawn. We cannot push it forward then. So after this knight f6, even black can target with something like rook to e1, rook to e8, and then target our pawn. So what we are doing with this move is we are removing the permanent attacker on this pawn. Okay, queen takes on f6 over here. White continues with the target of attack, the d6 pawn. White plays the move queen to d5, also threatening the b7 pawn at the same time. Sorry. Black plays the move rook a b8. White plays pawn c3, protecting our own pawn as well. Okay. Black plays the move rook f8. White plays rook a d1. Improvement of pieces. Okay. Black plays the move queen e5. Rook f e1 from white side. Queen takes queen. Rook takes queen. Do not capture back with the pawn, because over here if we capture back with the pawn, the problem is this pawn is now safe. This is a backward pawn, but now it cannot be attacked anyhow. The line of attack is closed. Our own pawn is a hurdle for us now. Okay, so that's why rook takes on d5. Black plays the move rook b d8. White to play. Now what to play as white? Same question. Which piece is not doing anything? How to improve it? Okay, Kuldeep sir, fine. Again, that's the move played in the game. Yes, Kailash sir, we can do it. Okay, Anita ma'am, we can go for that also. Can be tried. So for this one, I'm getting variety of answers. Waiting for a few more. And then we'll discuss about each one of those moves one by one. Okay, that can be tried. Fine, we'll talk about it. Okay, let's talk about the moves. I got 4 different answers. Starting with rook d1. Yes, rook d1 can be tried over here. I'm assuming you were mentioning about the e1 rook to d1. Yes, this can be tried. So it might go something like this, that they would capture the pawn. We'll take the pawn. Rook takes, and this can be tried. It's okay for white. Nothing wrong with this. And then we are winning this pawn. So yes, this can be done over here. A good move. Okay, pawn e5 can also be tried, but I'm not sure of this, because let's say if pawn takes pawn, we take the pawn, they capture, rook takes rook, rook takes rook. Now see, in both the cases, we are trading the pawn and the rook, but the position matters. Until now, in the previous one, we had the rook on d6, which was attacking the pawn. But right now we have a rook on e5, right? So we can say that the previous variation was a little better than this one with pawn break. The idea of f6 now is gone. Why is it gone? And we should not try this, reason being because even if we make the king exposed, how would we attack the king? We don't have enough resources to checkmate the king now. The queen is gone. Usually we say that queen is the main attacking unit. If the queen is traded off the board, then 50% of the attack against the king is gone. Okay, so right now it's not a good idea to sacrifice the pawn because our main objective to attack the king now is gone. We can definitely attack the pawns, but we cannot threaten a checkmate. Okay. Okay, fine. Now, one move king f2, and this was played in the game. See, the rook is on a good square. Both the white rooks are on a good square. We cannot improve the pawn structure now a lot more. This piece, the king is not doing anything. So usually this is what we say. In the opening and the middle game, keep the king safe, but in the end game, bring a king to the middle of the board. So now slowly the end game is about to come. So what we are doing is we're improving the position of the king slowly. Again, going with a slow improvement. But something like rook e d1 can also work over here, can be played, nothing wrong with it. Black plays the move rook e5. Now rook e d1 was played. They capture our pawn. Okay. Now we can take the pawn, but first of all g4 was played just to avoid a double attack. Okay, because once we take the pawn, the rook is gone from d5. So there will be no one to protect the pawn. So first of all g4 was played over here. Black plays the move rook e7. Not a good one because black is not really improving. Rook takes pawn, rook takes pawn, rook takes pawn. Now look at this position. Right now, number of pawn, number of rook, and the king, everything is equal. But still, white is a little better. Why? Because of the position of the pieces. This is called improvement of position and improvement of pieces. The number of pieces can be same, but the position matters. What is the piece doing? Right now, white king is quite active and can very quickly come to the middle of the board. Right? The white rook is attacking the pawn. But what is the black king doing? Nothing much. What is the black rook doing? It is on the middle, but it has no entry points. It cannot enter the position from anywhere because of the king. Okay. So this game might have went for a little long, but over here black made a immediate mistake with pawn to g6, and white captured the pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Rook takes on g6. King moves to h7. Rook takes on b6. And this gives white a completely winning position because of extra pawns. The game went on for 30 more moves, but this gives white completely winning position. So we will stop here in this game. Okay, and just quickly I'll show you how did the game ended. So basically, king went to the top, and white went on to promote the pawn. Nothing much over here. Okay, so just to show you all, the pawn promoted, and okay. So now slowly we'll just promote the pawn, and then we'll do a checkmate. Fine. So in this game, we looked at two things. Number one, we saw that we need to make a pawn break on a timely manner. And if we are doing it, then we are getting a good space at the middle of the board. Second, we discussed that we need to keep on improving the position. How to improve? Usually forcing moves will help. Checks, captures, threats, or pawn break. Okay. Now the second game we will see in which our opponent is doing a pawn break on a timely manner. And we will see something common in both the games. Let me move to the second game. This one is the short game. We'll just skip the opening quickly. White plays e4. Simple development of pieces to the middle of the board. Pawn h3 with the same idea of stopping this spin. That's why pawn h3 was played. Bishop moves, development of pieces, castle. Okay. Black to play. What would you play as black? So now imagine that you're playing as black. What would you play as black? Again, that move was played in the game. And that's a very logical move. Fine. Okay. I got a very instructive move to discuss. We'll talk about it. Okay. So two common answers. One is pawn d5, which happened in the game. But before that, let's talk about this move, knight to d4. Okay. A knight d4 over here is a little bad for black. Reason being, because it's related to theory. Knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, knight goes to e2. The pawn is under attack. To protect the pawn, black has to play c5, and white over here will just play the move pawn to f4. And whosoever is having this structure, look at this pawn structure. Okay, when compared to this structure, okay, irrespective of colors. So right now white is having this pawn chain, okay, and the structure of pawn, and black is having this structure of pawn. But it can also be changed. Maybe white is having the structure which black is having right now, and black can have the other one. So whosoever is having this structure which I marked in yellow is better than this one which black is having right now. Why is that? Because white has a clear path of attack. See, all the pieces will slowly move towards the king. All the pieces. Right now, the queen cannot come in because of the knight. But once we are able to do something about the knight, then the queen can definitely come in. And same for the bishop. Bishop is lining towards the king. On the other side, black is not having a clear target of attack, or not even a clear path where to attack, how to attack. It's just a group of pawn showing nothing. But white is having this pawn chain which is pointing towards the king side, and this is a very important statement. We should attack in the direction of pawn chain. So if you see a pawn chain in your game and if it is pointing towards the king side, try to attack on the king side. Similarly, if you see a pawn chain pointing towards the queen side, try to attack on the queen side. So for this reason, knight d4 would give white a little better position. Okay. Pawn d5 was played in the game, going for an immediate pawn break. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, knight takes knight, bishop takes knight. Now let me show two positions side by side. One which we looked at previously from the previous game, and one at this one. Just give me a minute. And we will see something very common in both the positions. Okay, we can keep this on one side. Okay, so we can see two chessboards. On left hand side is the previous game which we saw, and on right, yeah, on left hand side is the previous game position from the previous game, and on right hand side our current game going on. Okay, now look, first of all, focus upon the left position. We are doing a pawn break with pawn d4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, knight takes knight, bishop takes knight. Now see, because we did a pawn break, we got a domination at the center or a better control over the middle of the board, right? Now look at the right board on the right side. Let me remove the arrow. Okay, now look at the right board. I'll just make it a little big. In this game, our opponent is doing a pawn break with the move pawn d5. Okay, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, and black is the one having a little better control when compared to white. So looking at this, we can establish the fact that whosoever does a pawn break gets an initiative. Okay, so usually try to make pawn breaks yourself, because if we are doing it, then we are the one having a initiative. Not a lot, but we have a little initiative there. This is a very important point. Any questions with this, anyone? Okay, fine. So let's get back to our game. Just a minute. Okay, let's continue. We were looking at from right side. So bishop takes on d5 was played. Okay. Now, first question for this game, should we capture the bishop? Yes or no? You can just mention yes or no in chat and be ready with the reason. If yes, then why? If no, then why? Stick to the same thought process. Is it helping us to improve? Yes or no? If yes, then we should capture. If no, we should not capture. Simple. Okay, I got two answers. Let's take a few more and then we'll discuss. Okay, fine. Let's discuss. Whosoever is saying yes, why yes? Why should we capture the bishop? Anyone? I got few answers with yes that we should capture. Why so? Okay, fine. Anyone with no, why should we not capture the bishop? Wants to mention anything? Sorry. Okay. So I'll just tell, in this case, capturing the bishop is not too good because of the same reason again, because if we capture, we allow their queen to get developed. Okay. So even if it is an equal trade, it's not helping us to improve. It's helping our opponent to improve. For this reason, we should not capture the bishop, and white did not capture it. Okay. Let's continue. White plays the move rook e1 over here. Reason being threatening the pawn. Again, a forcing move. It's a threat. So the middle game started. You will see that every move is coming as a forcing move, either a check or a capture or a threat. Black capture. So again, a forcing move. White captures back, a forcing move. Black plays the move bishop d6, protecting the pawn. White to play. What would you play as white now? Think about improvement. And if you can identify any target of attack, in that case, try to attack that target. If there is no target right now, then keep on improving. Simple idea. Yeah, that's one good move. We can do that. And no, we cannot do it. Okay, we'll discuss of a move. Fine, I got one more answer. Which piece is not doing anything? How can we improve it? Yes, Kailash, sir, that's the piece and that we need to improve. Okay, last to last session, we discussed about some tactics, and one of those tactics was discovered attack. Okay, so I have a question. Pawn d5, pawn d4. Is it a good move? Think in terms of discovered attack. Okay, pawn d4 is actually not good over here because white will get into a discovered attack. Pawn takes pawn. If we capture back with the knight, we cannot take back with the queen because of the black knight. So if we capture back with the knight, no, they will capture our knight, and now we cannot take this knight. Can anyone tell me why? Why can we not take this knight? I mean, we can take it, but we should not take it. What happens? Suppose white captures the knight. What can black do? Black to play. Exactly. I got one right answer. Discovered attack. Come on, we have learned it last week. Yes, I got two right answers. So discovered attack basically is uncovering an attack. We move a piece and some other piece is doing the attack. So in this case, black can play the move bishop h2. A forcing move, check. And now once we take the bishop, we lose the queen. So for this reason, we can say that pawn d4 is the bad move. Reason being, because we will just lose the pawn and then we cannot take the pawn back. If we take the pawn back, we will lose much more pieces then. Okay, fine. Right now in this position, the bishop is not doing anything. We need to improve the position of the bishop. So we can play the move bishop e3, bishop g5, or bishop d2. In the game, white went on with bishop d2. Why bishop d2? There has to be a reason, because we can also move it to e3 or g5. What specific is the bishop doing on d2, which it cannot do from e3 and g5? So for that, the idea is we want to go for bishop to c3 and we want to target this pawn. Okay. For this reason, bishop d2 was played. Whenever we make a move in chess, we should have two reasons. Number one, why are we playing this move and why are we not playing that move? Like in this case, why are we playing bishop d2, or why are we not playing something like bishop to g5 or bishop to e3? Okay, so there has to be a specific reason for every move. Bishop d2 was played. Black plays the move pawn h6. White continues with the same idea, bishop c3, attacking the pawn, and black plays the move rook e8. White to play. What to play as white now? If you see a target, attack. If you don't see a target, improve. Which piece is not doing anything and how can we improve it? Yeah, that's one good move. So in this position, we have multiple good moves. We can play any. So that's one which I got. Right now, the e5 pawn cannot be captured, because if we take it with the rook, we will be losing the rook. So this is how we can count it. There are three attackers and there are three defenders. And the rule of attack says that if we want to have a successful attack, we need to have one extra attacker always when compared to defender. So right now, capturing on e5 would be a blunder. Okay, try to play with pieces. So pieces are much more useful than pawns, right? Okay, I got one very good move. Okay, so right now it's the rook on a1 not doing anything. Okay, now there are two ways to improve the rook in this very position. One is the very common way, which is usually done in most of the cases, and one is an uncommon way, which can be done only in this position. So the common way is, first of all, move the queen away and then get the rook to the middle. Okay, so the basic idea here would be something like queen d2 followed by rook e2 and then rook to e1, targeting this pawn. That could be one idea. Okay, and here an uncommon way could be something like rook a4. Usually this is not recommended, but it can be done over here. Reason being, rook a4 then rook e4. Okay, or something like rook a4 and then rook to h4, rook left, which we just discussed a few minutes back. Or maybe rook a4 and rook g4 can also be tried. In the game, queen d2 was played with the idea of improving the a1 rook. Bishops, knights are doing very great job. Even the rook on e1, it's the queen and the rook not doing anything. So we needed to improve the position. Black plays pawn f5. White continues with the same plan, rook e2, queen f6 from black side. Okay, queen f6 creates a weakness into black position. I will not tell which is that weakness right now. We'll discuss about it later, but try to identify what is wrong with queen f6. Okay, let's continue with the move. White plays rook e1, black plays rook e7. White to play, what would you play as white? So as a hint, there was something wrong with queen f6. So try to identify what's wrong with queen f6 and use that for the benefit. Anyone wants to share what's wrong with queen f6? What just happened as black played queen f6? Again, right now we cannot capture. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders and we have 4 attackers. So number of attacker and defender is same. So right now capturing is not possible. But you see, everyone is fighting for this e5 pawn. We can say it's a target. Yes, Sam sir, you got it. So that's the weakness. Now what to do about it? Okay. Okay, I'll mention about the weakness over here. The weakness is no. Until now, the pawn on e5 was not in pin. At least the pawn had one option to move forward, right? But as soon as queen f6 is played, look, the pawn is in pin. It cannot even move now. So usually we learn about different concepts, but in a game it's very difficult to identify, because while learning, it is told to us that which concept are we using or what are we learning. For example, pin, discovered attack, double attack, discovered check, double check, like that, right? But in a game, tactics will happen, but we need to keep an eye for that and see what is happening. Let's take a very simple example. Suppose let's take a video game, okay, and it's a shooting game. Is it easy to hit a moving target or is it easy to hit a fixed target?
Fixed target, obviously. Yeah.
Fixed target, obviously, right? So right now this pawn had that option to move. Okay, it was not that easy to hit this pawn, but now that the pawn is a fixed target for us, it's getting easier for us to hit the target. Okay, and now we'll see how did white hit it and what plan did white make. Again, we'll sorry, follow the same idea of forcing move. Black played rook e7, and over here white played this quite interesting move, knight to h2. How is it helping us with our plan, and how is it helping us to improve the position? So with this knight h2 move, white is planning to play the move pawn to f4, pressurizing the pinned pawn. So this is one thing about pin. What we should do is that we should not capture the pinned piece or pinned pawn. That's the last thing we try to do. Always try to pressurize it even further. Okay, what happens is, no, if we pressurize it, then we can win it for free in most of the cases. So three things we can do with pin. Number one, capture the pinned piece. That's the last thing which we should try to do. If we're getting it for free, then definitely we should do it. But if you're not getting it, then that's the last thing we should try to do. Second is try to pressurize it. Pressurize it means adding more attackers to the pinned piece or the pinned pawn. Okay. And the third thing is, we have a statement. The defensive power of a pinned piece is imaginary, which means if a piece is in pin or a pawn is in pin, it cannot defend anything. Imagine it looks like right now the pawn is guarding this f4 square. But imagine if somehow I'm able to move my rook to f4, suppose this way, for example. Okay, imagine the rook being on f4. The pawn cannot capture it because then they will be losing the queen. Okay, so these are the three things about pin. Let's look at the game. Let's continue with the game now. Black plays rook e8, white continues with f4. So now we have a target, we are trying to attack. If we see a target, attack. If we don't see any target, keep on improving unless you see a target. Okay, that's a simple idea. Black played king h7, not a good move, doesn't do anything. And now white plays the move knight back to f3. So knight h2 was played with this one intention of bringing the pawn forward, having one more target of attack. Okay. Now look at this position. Black played the move pawn a6, and now the number of attacker is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number of defender 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks equal, but there is something coming up. See, pawn takes pawn happened. Okay, bishop takes on e5, knight takes on e5, knight takes on e5, and over here white played this quite interesting move, queen to f4, and it looks like we are about to win the piece. But there is more to the story. We cannot win this piece right now. Black plays the move pawn g5 over here, and we cannot take this piece. So you might say that, okay, we can take this knight. If they take our queen, we can take their queen. But the problem is, if we right now take it, no, then they will take our queen. If we take their queen, then they can win the rook. Rook takes rook, rook takes rook, and rook takes rook. And over here, black is winning. So all of this comes under calculation. Try to calculate all the variations. So calculation means thinking ahead. If I do this, what will happen? What can they do? So usually think about forcing moves. That's the good approach. Okay. So queen f4 was played. Black plays the move pawn g5 over here. White, to continue with the attack, plays the move queen f2. with the idea of queen to c5, and white still is in a little better position because look at the white pieces, they are attacking. Look at the black pieces, they are defending. So white pieces we can say are active, black pieces are passive. Okay. Game would have went for a little longer, but black made a major mistake. He played the move queen d6. Last question for this game, white to play. What would you play as white? White did something which gave white an immediate winning position right away. What is that move from white side? What is wrong with this queen d6 move? How is it wrong? Yes. Kailasar got it. Yes, Kuldeep sir also got it. Okay, almost everyone is getting it now. The move is queen takes on f5. We are winning the free pawn, and then we can take this knight for free. This is what happened, queen f5. King moves, and now the number of attacker is greater than the number of defender, which means we can win the free piece. Bishop takes the knight, rook takes, queen check, king moves away, rook takes, queen takes, rook takes. We have an extra rook, an easy win for white, and white went on to win this game. So just to summarize, what did we look at in this game? If we are doing a pawn break, we will get a little better position at the middle. And if your opponent is doing it, then in that case, they will get it. So usually we should try to do the pawn break from our side itself. Okay. It helps us to activate the pieces. And that's the first thing. Number two, we use a statement. If you see a weakness, attack. If you don't see a weakness, improve. Okay. So this is what everyone can follow whenever you play a game. If you see a weakness, attack right away. If you don't see a weakness, keep on improving unless we see a weakness. Okay. So in chess, we don't have to be brave. Don't try to be brave in chess. We need to be smart. So let's take an example of the Bollywood movies. A very typical Bollywood movie would be like one hero fighting against 10 villains at the same time, right? So we don't have to be that hero of that Bollywood movie in chess. We don't have to be brave. Be smart. Wait until you see a weakness. Once you see it, attack and win the game. Because usually if we try to attack without a weakness, no, that attack fails and that backfires. Okay. So that was the end of game number 2. Okay. Let's wrap up here for today. Any questions, anyone? So today we discussed about pawn break, forcing move, and we saw 2 games as an example.
Yeah, no questions, but I think it requires more practice to
Yes,
get
of
used to
course.
it. Otherwise, it just becomes theoretical.
So regarding practice, feel free to play games on chess. Also, you can do puzzles on chess. That will help.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Any questions, anyone? Fine. So next session we will be doing puzzles. So last session we did puzzles where it was told which topic to use, which idea to use. But next class it's like a small test. The position will be shown and you need to figure out which tactic to use. Pin, skewer, double attack, double check, discover attack, discover check, so that you need to figure it out. Okay. So as a practice, next 2 sessions is basically for practice now. Next session for puzzle, and then next session we'll play a tire game. And then after that we have a main tournament coming up. So that's the timeline now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay then. Thanks for joining, parents.